On November 12, 1996, something unthinkable happened high above India. Two massive passenger jets, a 747 and an Ilyushin IL-76, flew directly into each other. It was a complete catastrophe, and it's still the deadliest mid-air collision in the history of aviation. So in this explainer, we're going to break down how a tragedy like this was even possible.
I mean, that's the real question here, isn't it? You've got two huge planes, a Boeing 747 and an Ilyushin IL-76. Both of them are being guided by professionals, flying in what we think of as this huge, endless sky. So how in the world could they possibly collide?
Well, finding the answer to that question tragically came at an absolutely devastating cost. 349 people. Every single passenger and crew member on both of those planes was lost in an instant.
To really get how this happened, we've got to go back to that evening over Delhi. Let's take a look at how these two flights started a journey that would end up tragically intersecting.
Now, before we jump into the details of the two flights, it's really important to understand how the air traffic system is supposed to stop this from ever happening. I mean, think about it. At any given moment, there are thousands of planes in the air. The reason it's all so incredibly safe comes down to a really brilliant and actually pretty simple system.
The easiest way to picture it is to think of the sky as being full of invisible highways. We call them airways. And just like highways on the ground, these routes keep all the traffic flowing in a really organized way. And the air traffic controllers, or ATC, they're the ones directing the planes, making sure everyone stays in their lane. And here's the core safety rule that makes it all work. It's so smart. On any given airway, planes going in one direction fly at odd-numbered altitudes, so let's say 35,000 feet. Planes going the opposite way fly at even altitudes, like 34,000 feet. This simple rule automatically creates a vertical gap of at least 1,000 feet. It's a really elegant solution to prevent head-on collisions. Okay, so with that system designed for safety in mind, let's meet the two aircraft at the heart of our story. They started in completely different countries with different destinations, filled with people whose lives were about to intersect in the most fateful way. So on one side, you have Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907. It's an Ilyushin cargo plane, but it's carrying merchants on a chartered flight to go shopping in India. And on the other, you have Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763, a massive Boeing 747, mostly filled with Indian laborers on their way to work in Saudi Arabia. And here is where things get really critical. The Kazakh flight was descending into Delhi while the Saudi flight was climbing out. They were on the exact same airway, which was named Delhi Star, and they were heading directly toward each other. And both of them were under the command of one single air traffic controller, a man named V.K. Datta. Everything, and I mean everything, came down to the final 8 minutes. During this short window, a series of totally standard instructions were given out. Instructions that should have ensured these two planes passed each other safely, with that critical 1,000 feet of clear air between them. So this Saudi flight gets cleared to climb to 14,000 feet. The Kazakh flight is told to descend to 15,000 feet. You see? The plan was perfect. One plane at 14,000, the other at 15,000. They should have just passed each other harmlessly. At 6:39 p.m., the Kazakh crew even confirms they've reached their altitude. Just 1 minute later, they were both gone. The aftermath was just chaos, and the investigation that followed had to answer that one single, impossible question. With a 1,000-foot safety buffer built into the system, how did they collide? This was one of the last messages the Kazakh crew ever got. The controller, V.K. Datta, he was just giving them a standard traffic advisory. He was telling them, hey, there's a 747 dead ahead, 1,000 feet below you. Let me know when you see it. It was a totally routine instruction, a final layer of safety. But nobody knew just how final it would be. 15,000 feet. That was the critical number for the Kazakh flight. Their instructions were crystal clear. Descend to 15,000 feet and hold. Do not go a single foot lower. And for the Saudi flight, the magic number was 14,000 feet. Climb and hold. The flight data recorder later proved that they followed their instructions perfectly. They were exactly where they were supposed to be. And this is the heart of the failure. The black box from the Kazakh plane revealed the horrifying truth. Despite reporting that they were level at 15,000 feet, they weren't. They had kept descending right through their assigned altitude and directly into the path of the Saudi 747. But you know what? In big disasters, it's almost never just one single mistake. This was a catastrophic chain of failures. Yeah, the main fault was pilot error, but on top of that, there was a huge language barrier. The Cossack crew had a radio operator translating English for them, which caused delays and confusion. And maybe most critically, Delhi's radar back then was really primitive. It could show the controller where the planes were on a map, but not their altitude. He was flying blind, basically, and had to completely trust that the pilots were where they said they were. In the wake of such a massive tragedy, the global aviation industry was basically forced to act. The lessons learned from the skies over Turkey Dadri have made flying safer for every single one of us today.
So, 3 huge changes are rolled out worldwide. First, a system called TCAS, a collision avoidance system, became mandatory. Now, the plane's own computers talk to each other and will literally shout commands at the pilots to climb or descend. Second, English proficiency became a non-negotiable rule for all international pilots. And third, airports everywhere, including Delhi, upgraded to modern radar that shows a plane's altitude in real time. If this happened today, the controller would have seen the Kazakh plane descending past its limit and could have screamed at them to pull up.
Ultimately, this is just a stark reminder that so many of the safety systems we just take for granted were born from these moments of disaster. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible protections that keep us safe every day were built on the hard, painful lessons of failure?